Over the past couple of weeks, we've made some pretty major decisions and completely changed the plan for how we're going to be building this house. So we thought we would jump on and give you a little bit of context as to what's going on. I would like to thank Fiverr for sponsoring this week's episode.
So when we first bought the house, it was a pretty standard layout. It had 2 front rooms, one larger everyday living room, and the smaller, more formal sitting room. Then at the back, we had the kitchen with the amazing Inglenook fireplace, and then through to the second back room, which in all honesty, we're not entirely sure what it was used for. And the only clues were the old classic toilet and kitchen sink combo that we'd been left with. Then upstairs, we also had a pretty standard layout with a master bathroom, 3 double bedrooms and a small box room. Just a classic old farmhouse, really. And we knew we couldn't afford an extension, so we were pretty limited in what we could change. But we were keen to see if there was affordable ways of maximising the space.
We got an architect in quite early doors, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think looking back on it, it was probably too soon. We didn't really understand the space.
Really understand the size either, really.
For us, this is the biggest house we've ever owned. And so you kind of think you can fit whatever you want in, which unfortunately is not the case. And we kind of gave the architects a massive list of things that we wanted, didn't we?
Yeah, we gave him, everything. Snugs, mezzanines at one point. There was, everything.
We eventually narrowed down our list of requirements and settled on adding a corridor downstairs to connect the front and the back of the house. And in the kitchen, we added in our big dining room table, a larder cupboard, and a separate utility room with a downstairs toilet. Upstairs it stayed much the same, apart from we turned the small bedroom into a walk-in wardrobe. The architects had worked really hard to get everything in that we'd asked for, and so we set about bringing the plans to life. But due to the amount of rot and woodworm in the house, we had to strip everything back to the bare bones to give us a good base to work from. As we progressed through the weeks and more of the walls came down, and we revealed our plans to keep the vaulted ceilings upstairs, we kept getting the same comments.
We were really unsure about the plans, and the more we were in the space, the more we were worried we're going to end up with all these little rooms and they weren't really going to perform their function. And the issue was, of course, the Inglenook fireplace, because you don't want to put a bedroom in with this Inglenook fireplace. And it was one of the main features.
Yeah, with the bread, we loved the bread oven and stuff like that. So it was one of the main things that drew us here.
So we didn't want to then do this upside down living, and then you had this weird use of that room. But we actually ended up speaking with Will, Gav's good friend Will, who you might remember from a few episodes, who is an interior architect. And he came up with the very simple but very effective answer of flipping the staircase round.
Cheers, mate.
Gav was obviously thrilled with that. The problem is, we'd already gone through this process. We'd had architect's drawings, and then a few months down the line, we realised we didn't like them. So we were a bit nervous about such a dramatic change. And that's where Fiverr has come in and really massively helped us.
Fiverr offers loads of freelance options over a range of different disciplines. And in our case, we were looking for someone who'd be able to take our flat 2D drawings and turn them into an interactive 3D model. And this model would give us the ability to literally move around the rooms and ensure we're making the right decision. So after looking through a number of different portfolios, we landed on Alex. Then we sent Alex over the mood board that we'd created, and this included our old floor plans, our updated floor plans, as Will had very kindly amended them for us, and notes about what was and wasn't working for the layout of the house. And then after a few rounds of feedback, we had our model. And here we are, without further ado, our new and improved layout. And please do forgive my poor navigation skills. Downstairs we'd realised that they were really quite dark rooms, and once we'd added the hallway, we felt that they were quite small for social spaces, but they were perfect for sleeping. So we turned those front living rooms into guest rooms, one being my hybrid office with a pull-out couch, and the other the master guest room. Then at the back we've got the kitchen, with a small breakfast bar for the two of us, rather than the big 6-person table we were trying to squeeze in the original plan. And we've kept the downstairs utility area separate, as this will be where we come in when we're dirty, and will also house the downstairs bathroom. Now to Will's stroke of genius. Flipping the direction of the stairs has allowed us to keep the kitchen in the same place and to make the most of the ingle nook, but while still making it feel connected to the living and dining area. Then upstairs we have our biggest transformation, as we've now converted this to a large open plan living area. Not only do we get a lot more space, it also means that we can make the most of our vaulted ceilings. So on one side we have our more day-to-day living area with our TV and one of our fireplaces, and in the middle we have fitted the big dining table that we'd always had our heart set on. And on the other side we've even managed to squeeze in the much coveted snug area. Then at the back of the house we have our master bedroom with loads of cupboard space and a dressing table. And then finally on to our master bathroom with the bath which will one day look over our epic veg garden. It's a pretty massive change, but this version of the house feels a lot more like us. It's brighter, more social, and way more flexible long term. And we feel a lot more confident now, having seen it in 3D, that this is something that's actually going to work. Now that we'd finally made a decision, it was time to get on with getting the staircase out. Our intention is to reuse this staircase and hopefully the banister too, so the aim was to keep it all intact. But as I was on a work trip, Gav had been left to tackle this himself.
Why are you turning into a whoosh? Gonna get a chance, let's go. I don't know if you can tell this is the ham roll. You can see the lines from where this was done by hand with a hand plane. So if you go see the imperfections, very cool. It's a shame. Real bloody shame that. Real bloody shame, mate. What I might do is try and cut this here and then splice a new bit on, because obviously that's rotten and we don't want rot. Real bloody good, mate.
Now, we felt like we hadn't been giving you enough rotten wood content recently, so we were thrilled when we found this when preparing to move the stairs.
So these are the 3 boards. Thank you, Sharon. I don't know if you can see, but this would have been where the old water tank was, the old hot water cylinder. So potentially this is where the wet rot is here. So I'd say there would have been a leak or something along them lines in this area. Next thing, so these are all tongue and groove boards. I don't know if anyone saw me take the boards up over here, but I made a right pig's ear of it and broke a lot of them. So I'm going to multi-tool along this line, because then that should in theory make it easier to take these 3 up, because I'll be cutting that tongue, so hopefully it won't be breaking anything. So this is that first board that I said about the wood one. I don't know if you can see that really. Oh. Excuse me. You don't like that at all.
Again, this is why we had to do such a brutal strip out of the house, as we have to deal with all these issues before everything goes back in. And we'll be treating all the wood for woodworm and rot and all the other fun stuff that old wood is prone to.
You can see I have removed the area we think's got
Dry rot?
Dry rot. Looking at that floorboard there, actually, that might need to come out. Yeah, so these 3 boards come out the other day. As I said, yeah, that 4th bar board might have to go.
Not great.
Not ideal, but that is going to be our bathroom, so, and with us rejigging, we might take all that floor up and then
Just tile it.
put like a chipboard flooring down.
Probably better, just
moisture resistant,
yeah.
so on and so forth.
Without the muscles in the relationship being around to help, Gav was left struggling with the stairs himself, although I'm not entirely sure what his game plan was here. But eventually admitted defeat and managed to get a couple of our friends to come round and help. And whilst it may look like he left them to it, I promise he was upstairs pulling the stairs from the first floor.
If you've got a project that you'd like to partner with Fiverr on, you can use the link in the description box below. And if you use the code CITY, you'll get 10% off your full order.
We hope you've enjoyed this behind the scenes episode and hopefully have a better idea of where this whole build is going. And do let us know what you think of the changes in the comments. See you again next time.